friend.
Welcome to Heavy Metal
History.
How's it going, listeners? Welcome to this week's episode of Heavy Metal History. I got to sit down and talk with Cole and Gus, the lead guitar player and main members of the band Lago. They are from Arizona. They're about to put out an album June the 8th called Sea of Duress. We kind of just went track by track through the record, talking about their death metal influences. Cole has a very obvious love for Florida death metal, and for good reason. And it shows in their music, but I think that they also like to write a little bit outside of the box, and you can hear that in this new record. It is a solid death metal album. You should definitely check it out if you get the chance, because like I said, it comes out June the 8th, so when you're hearing this, it'll be out this Friday. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. It was fun. There's a little bit of background noise, but you guys can deal with that. It's all good. If this is your first time checking us out, please go back and listen to older episodes. We've been doing this podcast for about a year, so we have history episodes, we have interviews. There's all kinds of cool stuff for you to check out and discover, so that would be awesome if you become a regular listener. And two little things here. We have a contest going on right now. If you're listening to this, all you have to do is go to our website, heavymetalhistorypodcast.com. Share your favorite episode or an episode, it doesn't matter. Tag us in it, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, however you end up sharing it. Make sure we are tagged. For every like or share or whatever you get on that post, that counts as more entries. So when we decide to pick a winner here in a couple weeks, whoever has the most will win an autographed poster from either Despised Icon, Unleashed, I believe I have Converge, Carnifex, all kinds of stuff. I have all this shit left over from tour, for years now. So even if you don't want an autograph poster, I can get you some kind of show poster that's rare that I have. I can give away whatever I want. So we're going to give whoever wins a little special extra something as well. And whoever comes in second and third place will also get something. So that's it. That's the rules. Please go do that. We want to help, our listeners. We want to pay it forward to you guys for listening to us for so long and give something away. And finally, as you guys know, we are sponsored by Death Dreamer. What is Death Dreamer? Well, it's my buddy Scott Lewis from Carnifex. It is his graphic novel. It should be out sometime this year, and in July, Scott's going to come on the podcast and talk about Death Dreamer and writing it and getting it made and music, obviously. So go to www.deathdreamer.net, sign up for the mailing list, get all the updates of when it's going to come out, and go support the fuck out of my friend, support art, support comics, all this cool stuff. That's what we should be doing, is supporting the things that we love, and I want you guys to check it out. So that about wraps everything up, and without further ado, this is I think it's episode 60. I have these recorded in advance, guys, so I don't know exactly what episode it's going to be. So this is with Cole and Gus from the band Lago. Check them out and enjoy it. Awesome. So I guess what we'll do, man, we'll just go around. You guys introduce yourselves, what you do in the band, and then we'll go from there.
Cool. I am Cole Jacobsen. I play rhythm guitars and I do the main vocals, the growls. Garrett, who's not here, he does the other vocals. We got some screams sprinkled in every once in a while.
I'm Gus Barr. I just lead guitar.
Cool. So the thing I kind of like to start with to get the conversation going here, what were your guys' first heavy metal influences, those first bands you remember listening to, the band that kind of sparked your interest into the genre?
For me, it was Metallica. I mean, I had a cool mom with a record collection when I was a kid, so I could, raid all of her music. So when I was younger, I was like into Queen, Kiss, Journey, like Van Halen, but I got into punk when I was like maybe 11 or 12, skateboarding and stuff.
Yeah.
Seeing bands out of like Thrasher magazine, I bought Green Day Kerplunk when it was like brand new. I was like 11 years old or something. So
nice.
But so that was like my first love when I got into guitar. But then I had a friend, one of my skater friends, like he had an older brother that was like, "Oh, that punk shit's lame. Check this out," sort of thing. And it was Metallica and Justice for All. And I heard that, it was like, it blew my mind. So that was the band that really kind of shaped what I did in terms of like playing guitar, and just really set me down the path for metal, I guess.
For me, like growing up, my dad would listen to stuff like Zeppelin in Boston, so I was like into that. But then I moved when I was like 8 to a different area, and I made a friend, and his dad started showing me stuff when I was like 8 or 9, like Metallica, White Zombie, Sacred Reich, and DRI, and stuff like that. And I just kind of sat with the thrash stuff for a while. I really got into Megadeth around when I was like 11 or so, and started playing guitar when I was like 12 because of Megadeth and wanting to learn like Boston and stuff like that, and then just gradually went up from there. But the first record I bought was Metallica, Master of Puppets.
Nice. Yeah, it's pretty often that we get like Metallica as like the base answer, and so we have this little running joke of keeping tally of what members from bands say what albums, and I think so far Injustice for All is the one we get the most, probably followed by Ride the Lightning.
We're cutting out. I didn't hear anything of what you just said.
So I was saying basically that we've got a little running joke on our podcast, but not really a joke, but a lot of bands say Metallica for like their initial kind of way into metal, and we've been keeping this little tally of what albums they say, and Justice for All is like in the lead so far, and I think Ride the Lightning is right behind that one.
I've had like a lot of people that will, I don't know if it's just like the older they get and more into more extreme forms of metal, they really start getting like really shitty about And Justice for All. Like, oh, the recording, it's like so bad, and the production shit, and the bass is not there. And I'm like, that's stupid. It's still like their best record, I think. I mean, I understand the argument for Master of Puppets, but I mean, there hasn't, other than when I was in boot camp, I don't think there has been a week I have gone since I was like 13 years old where I haven't listened to And Justice for All at least once.
I mean, it's a pretty monumental and game-changing record. I mean, not just for thrash metal, but for kind of metal in general. You saw them writing longer songs. I mean, everybody knows the song One now, and that's like the song to know off that album. Yeah, I don't know, the sound issues or whatever. I think people are just nitpicking for the sake of nitpicking at that point.
Yeah, I think kind of being into punk, I mean, there's some of my favorite punk records sound like they're literally recorded in a fucking trash can. So, I mean, how are you going to get nitpicky over And Justice for All? It's kind of beyond me, but still rules in my opinion.
Yeah, people get snobby with production on stuff like that. Like Cole said, I mean, so many good albums that I really appreciate sound like shit. Like the early Sepultura is like some of my favorite stuff, and a lot of that, like Schizophrenia, that's not a good recording. and then even onto Beneath the Remains, all the production value's a bit better. There's no, like, they didn't use a metronome or anything like that, so it wavers all over the place.
Production sucks, bro. While wearing a Bertram shirt or something.
Yeah.
It's like even like a early SOD demo they did just like as a joke. They recorded it with like some like Walkman headphones, like SOD did, just to be dicks.
Yeah, I don't know what people expect. I mean, if you think a band's going to sound pristine on a record, then, you know, go see them live and get that sound. It's going to be two different things. Yeah. I don't know. I agree with your guys' sentiments, though. It's a really silly thing to kind of nitpick there. So, Gus, you mentioned kind of Megadeth and Boston, and that's what got you into guitar. Cole, what about you? What kind of, was it Metallica that got you in guitar? What kind of got you started playing?
I was already playing. I was like I said, I had a cool mom, so early on, like, you know, my dad wasn't really into music, but he was more like, here, I'll give you $20 if you want to go buy something. I don't really like it, but that was his way of supporting. But I remember, like, when was I? 11 when I started playing guitar, so like 93.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember when whenever Super Unknown came out, Soundgarden. I'm like, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard. You know, when right in the middle of the grunge era, right? So my mom, she took me over to the mall, and you know, I went to get Super Unknown. Well, when I go to grab it, you know, I see Bad Motorfinger. I'm like, I didn't even realize they had other albums, you know. So my mom's like, go ahead and get that. Oh. So I was, you know, I loved all that stuff at the time. You know, basically whatever tab you had in like guitar magazines. So, you know, Stone Temple Pilots, Nirvana, Pearl Jam was a thing, and then you'd see Metallica pop up in there. But I think what really got me wanting to play was like punk, like, and Rancid, Out Come the Wolves. That's still one of my favorite records. That's one I'll still listen to pretty frequently. So stuff like that. Green Day, Weezer. I was super into Hum when I was a little kid. Just trying to... No Effects. Like a lot of the Epitaph stuff I was into. And then, like I said, my buddy showed me And Justice for All. His older brother did. And then he showed me like Ride the Lightning. I remember the first time I heard like For Whom the Bell Tolls, or I paid attention to the lyrics anyways. That take a look to the sky, like it's like, holy shit, what is this? And like the riff was easy enough. I'm like, I could play this. So then I kind of just from there I was like, my parents hated Metallica. So it was literally I would just listen to those first 4 records like on repeat for 5 years straight. Like my parents knew the lyrics and would make fun of them. It was that ridiculous with it. And then it went to Slayer, went to Sepultura. That was really the beginnings of me for metal.
Yeah, it's always interesting to me because I definitely think punk rock is like the cousin of heavy metal. You know, the two can't be there without coexisting because they're just offshoots of each other. So Gus, could you go into a little bit more about like what got you in guitar, like how you started playing and everything?
As far as playing, I mean those records I wanted to play. I had a couple friends who kind of started to pick it up before me. Mm-hmm. They were into shit I didn't really like what was more popular at the time, because I'm a lot younger than Cole. So like when I was learning, like it was kind of the beginnings of when people were, or kind of when the whole like metalcore thing in the like earlier 2000s kind of picked up and carried on. So a lot of kids were playing that stuff, but some neighbors up the street, they had like some shitty band, but they had a guitar player that was really good, or at least I thought he was when I was like 11 or whatever. And then that kind of made me want to play a lot more, so I bought some shitty guitar off of this kid who was selling like some Yamaha Strat copy thing, and I was using that and went from there. But I mean, like, I always kind of like with learning stuff too, like I was always like right away trying to learn all these different types of things instead of just just being a dude who can play a bunch of power chord metal riffs and stuff, like most of the first stuff I learned was like Boston or Zeppelin, and then I would do the Metallica, Megadeth, and I got really into, I didn't get as super into punk, but I had a couple bits, but I always liked more of the like hardcore punk stuff, like a lot of the like Vrookers or Discharge and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just tried to learn all that kind of shit, but nothing too grand.
Isn't it always interesting though how like when you're first starting out listening to heavy metal, you know, it starts off tame enough, but then you get like deeper and deeper into it, and you get into more like brutal and heavier and faster stuff, and it just like snowballs into this whole giant thing basically.
Yeah, well, even my mom used to like bring that stuff up. Like when I was starting to get into like Cannibal Corpse,
Yeah.
she's like looking at the record, like, what the fuck is this? Like, and I think she even like opened up the insert and like read the lyrics on Tomb of the Mutilated, and she was just like, oh my god. Like even now you read those lyrics, you're like, what the fuck? Like who the fuck would write that? But I mean, I always kind of looked at it like, you know, it's like, Mom, it's like a horror movie, right? You let me watch Friday the 13th, same deal, right? But I mean, she never like took my records and burned them. But yeah, it was weird. I went, in a matter of 5 years, I was listening to Weezer to friggin', you know, if you don't like Morbid Angel, fuck you, sort of thing.
Right. Hey, speaking of that, what's your favorite Morbid Angel record?
Domination. That's the record that got me into death metal.
Oh, okay.
It was another one of those, and I think Covenant is probably a better record,
Covenant's my favorite.
but Domination was the first one I heard. And that was so, you know, I was super into like Sepultura,
Mm-hmm.
and it was because I remember the first time I heard Arise, I was like, god damn, these vocals are super, just like, they're harsh, they're not like any other, you know, of the thrash stuff. I'm like, man. And then I had a friend who's like, man, if you dig this Sepultura, maybe try this. And like he was you know, he had a mixtape or whatever, and the first two songs were, you know, Dominate and Where the Slime Lives. I'm like, holy shit, what is this? So went out and bought it right away, and this was like, it was right before the Formulus album came out, so
Okay.
you know, like I was super diving into those first four Morbid Angel records, to the point of where I was like, okay, you know, in a matter of 2 months, I became a Morbid Angel expert. Like, I'd been around for 20 years or something, and I was like, well, fuck this new guy, Steve Tucker, whoever he's going to be. And like, I didn't give Formulus an honest listen until like much later. Like, I really liked Gateways when it came out, and I gave it a chance, which, you know, I still think is a great record. I think both eras of Morbid Angel were great, but I went back like way later, maybe like 7-8 years, and listened to Formulus. I'm like, it's a great fucking record. Like,
Yeah.
I think unfortunately, I think a lot of people did that too.
Yeah, that's my favorite album of theirs, actually, and I always try to defend it or let people know, like, no, you got to go back and revisit that.
It's great. I think it's all because it's a different singer. It's fucking
like,
great.
Made it fresh again.
Yep. Yeah, I think that song "Nothing Is Not On There" has probably got one of the just nastiest riffs I've ever heard.
That record's so good.
Yeah, I'm really glad that their new album did not suck. I was really worried. I'm sure a lot of fans were when it came out, but man.
I had a feeling it was gonna kind of go back to where they should have been.
Yeah.
With all the criticism that they got, and especially knowing that they went back with Steve Tucker.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see what happened in that abomination that is the I album, like, going over well with Steve Tucker and the band. But oh my god, the I album, fucking Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's the one that shall not be named.
Oh man.
Real bad.
But I know you have like a real love for death metal, and you know, obviously that shows in the band and the kind of music you guys write and make. What was like the impetus for Lago and, you know, getting the band together and where you guys are now?
Honestly, I just did it just to kind of jam and maybe record something, but it really didn't start off as anything like, hey, we're gonna get some band members and play shows. But I had like 6 months left of being in the Marines.
Mm-hmm.
I was stationed out in Oceanside, California, so I would just drive home to Phoenix like every other weekend and play with a drummer I had from an old band. And it was just kind of, I've been in bands before, but it was never like my band where I was, all right, here's the music that we're going to do, kind of calling the shots sort of thing.
Yeah.
So really it was just, hey, let's just jam this project. And like I always had the name Lago, like for a long time. Like if I ever did a band, I'm going to do a death metal band, like the way I want to do it, I'm going to call it Lago sort of thing. But it just slowly, we were jamming for a little bit, had a couple guys kind of jammed, didn't really work out, and then we had our very first lead guitarist joined up, and like we wrote a song real quick, and off of, it's like the first song on our Marianas EP.
Mm-hmm.
Like we recorded that maybe like 6 months before the rest of the EP, and just posted it on like MySpace at the time, and like various like message boards and stuff, and it was weird. Like 3 or 4 small little labels hit us up right away wanting to put it out. So it went from just, hey, I'm going to record this thing for me, to, hey, we want to put out your record. So I was like, okay, well, let's get a band. Let's get a bass player. Let's start playing shows. So it's definitely snowballed from what it was supposed to be in the first place.
I mean, that's kind of a good thing, that means people are receptive to your music and are really enjoying what you're doing. Me personally as well, man. I know when I heard this new record, I was just like, holy fuck, like, the direction you're taking the band in now is like, it's not that the first album was bad by any means, but like, you've kind of carved this new sound out a little bit, I think, and it's fucking a stellar album.
Yeah, I think we try to like step outside of our box, but like not outside of our means.
Yeah, I
guess. And like I've over the last, and I think it's obviously shown in the music, but I've gotten super and like ulcerate. I love all Gorguts, but I love the newer Gorguts where it's a little more noodly, kind of a little more all over the place, and just so straightforward, like blast beats the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I was always a big Immolation guy, and like that's like the most unorthodox like riffing band in death metal. So I think that was kind of the idea. We did the Catacombs EP. Well, since the album, so we did a split with Calm Hatchery, which was really like a continuation of what we were doing with Tyranny. We had like some lineup changes, and Gus came on board, and Gus has been like the first guy in the band that writes stuff. We've kind of been on the same page with everything in terms of like what we're into and how we write and that sort of thing. And then we did that Catacombs and Oceans single, and that was, I don't think we ever intended to release it, really, did we?
We kind of were writing shit, because like at the time when I got in the band, like I remember one day Cole's like, yeah, think about going a little bit weirder with it. Like, should we do that? And I was like, yes, let's definitely do it. Because I was already like really into like prog. I've always been like a big prog dude and like weird shit. Like I love Voivod and like just dissonance and stuff like that. And then like on the death metal side of things, I've always liked the little more unorthodox things, be it something more like Cynic all the way to like I loved Immolation and Gorguts and stuff. So we kind of blended on that. And then
it was even supposed to be a different band, actually.
Yeah.
But cause I got to a point where, with the lineup changes and just kind of shit we were dealing with, not knowing whether what we did next would have a record home or anything like that, I was kind of, fuck it, we'll do something else. And then I really like the songs. I was like, well, fuck it, it's my band. We can write whatever the hell we want.
Yeah.
And it's not like, it's not night and day. It's, at least in my opinion, the new stuff, it has its elements of, the Florida, the Tampa Bay worship that, I feel like the older stuff was, and then, but it's just stepped outside of the box a little bit, so it's like, I don't feel like it was too much of a difference to just write all this new stuff and do it with Lago.
No, it still sounds like Lago. I mean, even some of the riffs on Catacombs were shit that was written for that other thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's always a fine line, too, when, you're having lineup changes, and it's like, well, do we go with the same name and just carry on with that, or do we start something new? But I kind of agree with you, since it's your band, you have that option to just leave that door open and do whatever you want with it, because nobody's really going to be like, this doesn't sound like old Lago. It's going to sound like whatever you want it to be, no matter what.
Yeah. Plus, I can talk shit if people will. It's not the old stuff. I'll be like, dude, I have all of the records. We pressed them. Like, do you even own one of the old records?
Right.
Not that it didn't sell, but I mean, if anybody wants to pull that card, they can just go get fucked.
Well, let's talk about the new album a little bit. Let's. When did kind of like the writing process start for it?
It's been a
like
while.
Nearly 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So when was your first show? Like August of 2015?
But I got in the band in like May of that year.
Well, so me and him. No, we've been jamming for like 3 years now. Basically, it was like February of like 2015. But we were gonna do whatever we were writing. Basically, ended up being the new Lago stuff. So
Okay.
We're slow writers, and I'm admittedly lazy. Like, I'll have 3 or 4 months if we don't have any shows or anything. Like, I don't fucking care. I'm not gonna practice just for the sake of like getting together and playing songs. But I think we started writing for it in May of 2017. But I think we had a couple songs already. Yeah, we had 2 songs, maybe 2.5 songs. And then from like May to October, we did the remaining, 6.5 or whatever.
With writing, I'm really quick about it, but with pacing around a band, I've learned to not like write a bunch of shit, because then you have to sit on it forever, and then you kind of lose the excitement to even get to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I've slowed down a bit on that, but I still like the songs that I contributed on this one. I wrote those in like 2 days.
Yeah.
Like I just sat down and popped.
We even had a song. We wrote a song. What was it? Haze. Is that the song we wrote? Like super early. That's the first song.
That was one of the first ones we wrote.
But then we didn't like get together with the band until like a year later, and we had to like relearn it. And like
wrote all that like in my living room.
Yeah, and to me, I mean, people that have heard the record, they kind of it's a good song. To me, it's just, I think because we had to like relearn it at the very end and like get together and do it, it seemed a little bit forced. But that might be me just being a little bit critical.
We changed a bunch of shit with how it was too.
Yeah, it was. I don't know.
There's some good things in that song though. Like I think that the guitar solo I did in that one is pretty neat. Yeah. And then like some of the riffs, but.
Basically what you figure almost a year-ish to write 8 songs.
Well, I mean, is it a pretty cohesive thing between you guys, like writing your guitar parts, or does every member kind of just add their own little thing to it?
You and I are pretty cohesive.
Yeah, that's what's crazy. That's where I've always kind of banged heads with other guitarists that have been in the band. Me and Gus, so it's weird on this album. This is the first thing we've done where there's 2 songs that I completely wrote, and then there's 2 songs that Gus completely wrote. And I think if you were to play those 4 songs back to back, I don't think it's a very drastic difference. Like stylistically, there's little things. I'm a little more simple than Gus. I think he'll get outside the box real far if you let him. But but. Yeah, I think it's in terms of like writing a song together, it would be like, hey, I got like 3 riffs. And I would, send the video on the phone, or we'd, sit and practice at the jam pad or whatever, and he would come up with something right off of it real quick. So this was the easiest record I've ever written with this band.
And it's got to be a good thing, at least. It's always a hard thing when you're, making music in general. So, like, to have it a little bit more easier and not butting heads with people, it's got to be like a nice thing to have.
Yeah, I don't even think there was. I can't remember even like listening to riffs of ours too much and going, no, I don't like it, toss it.
There's only a couple little things that we did, like on Soiled is the Crown. We had an original version of that we were running through, and we were kind of like we were all kind of like about it, like it wasn't working, and then like he
sat on it one
and
night
then
and just redid it.
Yeah.
I also joined, the year 2018 where people actually record shit on their computer. I started doing that for the first time, and it actually helps.
It helps a lot.
I've been kicking myself, like, I wish I was doing this 10 years ago. But I could just take this one single riff and loop it for, fucking 3 hours in a row while I drink beer and just try to come up with a cool second guitar part or tweak it or whatever. No.
That's what
everything was pretty smooth.
Because I sent that track, because I started doing trying to record shit the same time as he did, and I've just been sitting at home and just will sit up and riff and record it, and then write all this extra shit off of it. Like a couple weekends ago, I wrote a whole other song that might work out or might not, but just like ideas.
Nice.
It's nicer to be able to hear it back.
Yeah.
So would you guys be into doing like a little bit of a like track by track breakdown of each song on the record?
Sure.
Cool. So let's start with Day of Wrath. Let's start from there and go to the last track.
Day of Wrath. I think the first riff of the song was the first thing. I can't. Did I write that? Or,
the way that
I wrote the chuggy part, and you
wrote
the tail.
I tweaked a little bit, but the big dun 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 was you. But we built it around because I had the dun 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 dun.
That's right.
And then we kind
of the blast started.
Yeah, we worked and added that in and stuff so that
it was that first part was really just let's have a big build up thing.
It worked for
it leads up to the right where the blasts start.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think.
Because that one was written. There was a day that you got pissed off at practice, and you fucking left. And
I remember
you left to get fucking beer, and then me and Neil and Garrett are just jamming as I had those riff ideas, and then we started building on it. And you came back.
I sat outside. I don't remember. So I think I don't like my job, so I was on a bad day, but I remember sitting outside. I had cracked a beer, kind of just trying to cool off, and that first riff where the blast start, they were jamming it, and I'm like, it's cool. I was like, just so fucking pissed.
Like, he fucking left, and we all just started laughing because of how mad he got, and then but we're sitting there riffing it up until where it kind of turns into the thing, and he comes in and he was kind of I could see that he was liking it, but he's packing his shit up and left anyway.
I haven't done that very often in this band.
That's pretty much one of the only times you got real mad.
What about the lyrics on that song?
Did you write those or did?
Yeah, I did. God, I'm always fearful of these questions because.
Bro, tell us about those lyrics.
I have to fucking remember what I wrote.
Well, you don't have to go super in depth, but the gist of what the song's about.
I think that particular song.
Cole opened up a door and was amazed.
Bro, I saw things differently. I think a lot of it's I was raised religious, and I really got away from it. Just kind of going out in the world and seeing it for myself. It's weird. So though I enjoy deicide, I feel like the attacking religion is kind of ridiculous.
It's a waste
because it's a waste of time. I feel like religion, faith, is a personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you need religion to have faith. I'm definitely not a religious guy anymore, but a lot of it, a lot of my lyrics have to deal with kind of that guilt that religion instills in you.
Oh yeah.
Even if you get away from it, it's always there. it's always like in the back of your head through like whatever decision making you're doing, even if you're just like, you know, you can stand up on top of a mountain and there is no God, but it's still in the back of your head. You're like, because it's just like so ingrained in you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a lot of my lyrics are not quite bashing religion, but kind of like questioning faith. Yeah, a lot of that institution, and there is like kind of little political hints and stuff in this record as well. Not so much politics, but just like the environment that the political theater has created right now. And there's kind of some subtle jabs at, like, you know, like Nazis, shit like that.
On Dead Song.
We're not like I said, I came from punk, so like I'm not gonna stand up on a pedestal and like, tell people what they can and can't do.
Totally.
I mean, somebody was gonna sig heil me at a show, I might jump off and punch you right in the face, but there's that attitude there. So just specifically, I don't know, I think a lot of it's, there's not a whole lot of specifics for each song. I think a lot of the lyrics I wrote out, and I don't want to say what's this, every time so
Sepulcher?
No, well, you wrote that, but all mine, they're I don't want to say the concept because I fucking hate when people, I wrote a concept record.
Theme, like, general theme.
Yeah, there's a general theme,
so
they all tie together. Especially like Providence, that's a big one.
That one's lyrics are my favorite, probably.
Yeah, that's. I think Providence are like the most personal for me.
Okay.
So, that one's neat.
So a little bit of dissecting religion, a little bit of political stuff in there, and just kind of run the gamut of those things. Which I think, you know, if you look at the state of our world, those are the two biggest troublemakers, I guess I could say, man. There's always something going on in those two things.
And So Old as the Crown is very specifically about, you know, how divisive, like, just media and everything is right now, and it's kind of questioning the, you know, were things ever that great? Because, you know, everybody kind of, whether you like Trump or not, politicians are, you know, the seat was, the presidency was so revered, and Trump's ruining it. Like, was the presidency, was it ever great? Were they, I mean, I feel like they were always kind of scumbags, and just this one scumbag, you're just going to all of a sudden think that, you know, the 44 other presidents were not scumbags.
They just got a more blatantly obvious scummy scumbag.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I never really thought about it that way. Because, I mean, you're right. Every president's had some dirt on their hands no matter what. Even from the beginning of the presidency.
Yeah. That's kind of what that whole deal's about there.
Okay. So let's go into writing of Broken Barrier. We don't have to talk about the lyrics anymore. Let's go to, like, the writing of the songs.
So, we jokingly, we still do every once in a while, called this song Gateways to a Lawsuit. Because that middle riff, like, I wouldn't say I ripped off Morbid Angel. I would say I paid homage. Because when you pay homage, you don't owe them a royalty check. But it was that whole middle section. I think I wrote that first before the rest of the song. And the idea there, I was like, man, I just want a headbangy Gateways to Annihilation sounding riff.
Yeah.
And then it's weird, like if you listen to it in headphones, the gallop picking, there's two guitar parts, but they don't match. Like the patterns are kind of going back and forth, and they kind of how they just interplay with the notes. It worked somehow. That was a riff though I spent like a couple days just like while I drank beer and had it on repeat, like kind of messing with other patterns, like because both guitar parts don't follow each other. It's kind of awkward if you hear them separately.
Okay, I'll have to give that a double listen, like see if I can pick it out there.
Yeah, that one's kind of weird. Like even the way, like if you really look at it musically, the way that the notes bounce off of each other almost seems like they wouldn't work. Like one riff is falling on different notes each time. The other one it'll double up on a couple notes, and then like they the pattern that they're going through is slightly different in a way. So it's kind of strange, but it sounds really neat.
That's cool that you would like purposefully tried to make it sound a little offset there, but it ended up making like this really cool sound and pattern there.
Well, it's also like a Emperor thing. I'm a big Emperor guy, and especially that last record.
Oh man,
I mean, how much of it's? I bet it's 85% 2-part guitar, and it's not like, oh, here's the guitar and the second one is just playing
like a 3 frets up.
Yeah, 3 frets up. No, it's like completely different riffs that just walk around each other, but somehow like meet and make this like melody. So I always we did a lot of that on this record too, especially the last. Well, we'll get to Solo Does a Crown, but yeah, that big kind of triplet chuggy riff in the middle, that was the first thing, and then I kind of wanted to have a song that was a little more straightforward. I guess a little more mosh. Not that people really mosh when we play, but
right, you go up front and do the whole circle thing with your hand.
Maybe I should just start standing like, I want to see a fucking circle pit. Ham it up a little bit.
I'll do it.
But yeah, the first was kind of kept it a little straightforward, maybe a little suffocation-y on some of those riffs. On the it's like that second riff, there's a weird, I don't even know what chord I'm hitting. It's a little diminished, like like to me that was just doing like newer school Emperor stuff.
Yeah.
And it comes back with the palm muted like tremolo stuff, which is a little suffocation-y in my eyes anyways. But yeah, I don't know, it's weird. Like it starts like pretty straightforward, and then after the solo break, it's kind of weird.
Yeah,
it goes like a different direction.
The guitar solo kind of sets a change for that on that one too, where it kind of breaks, because that solo is like almost like happier sounding than the rest of the song in a way. It's almost, it gets kind of jazzy. I stole like a Steve Lukather little lick in that one from Roseanne, or what? Not whatever. Yeah, Rosanna. There we go. Not Roseanne.
Some Toto.
Some little Toto.
Yeah.
But that one was kind of like, that solo's different too, because it's all in a diminished scale too, and those ones for me anyway are kind of like awkward, because like I come from a lot more of like a little pentatonic-y kind of safe space, and you can't really find many of those parts in a diminished.
And I don't even know what that means.
It's okay.
I know vaguely what that means, if that helps.
I read it in Guitar Magazine once.
Like oversimplifying that way too much too.
You know, it's funny you mentioned writing that riff as kind of like an homage to Morbid Angel. There's a lot of times when, like, you know, we're getting music sent to us, and or even listening to old stuff, me and my buddy will listen to it and be like, doesn't that sound like that riff from like Cannibal Corpse or this and this? And then we'll go listen to the song and find out like it is almost note for note the same thing, but they change up just like one little riff, one little like I don't know if you guys have listened to the new At the Gates, but on one of their songs they go into this little acoustic guitar riff interlude, and it's Heartwork by Carcass. It's like
I only listened to the song that had the video.
That's what I've heard.
I thought it was good, but
yeah,
it's At the Gates. You know, same thing the Ramones did to put out the same album for 20 years.
Right.
It's good. I like it, but apparently people want them to reinvent the wheel as well. It's like, it's fucking At the Gates writing an At the Gates album.
Or if they sounded way different, people would be pissed about it too.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking more of the same.
Yeah.
I was vehemently defending that last record. Like, it's a fucking At the Gates record. Like, what do you want?
I think the new one sounded better though, from what I've heard of it. Because the only thing I think I noticed on the first one that like anyone could really complain was I thought the vocals were a little weaker than what they could have been, but still the music sounded like the same shit.
How dare you?
I know.
All right, let's go on to Sepulcher here.
The Gus special.
That one was one that I wrote like in like one sitting, just kind of sitting up in my room for hours, just riffing. It's I don't really know what I was going for with that one. It's got it's a little, like, it seems faster, but it's really not that much quicker or any quicker than most of the songs on the record, but it's a lot of tremolo picking.
Mm-hmm.
2-part guitar stuff in there. But I'm trying to think of anything.
In that middle section, it's a little Morbid Angel-y on that.
Yeah.
I like to do the octave chords with, one guitar's doing it there and the other guitar's just 3 frets up or whatever.
Yeah.
That freaking where the slime lives sort of vibe. But I probably rubbed off on Gus with that.
It gives a nice dissonance to it when you do that too, if you can get that riff just right.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in there though with the octaves and stuff on that one. Once it slows down after the it turns into some more groovy, slower stuff. I know that one's probably one of the harder ones to play on the record. I know practicing that one is
it's very wordy. Well, at least for what I do. This record in general, was a lot more wordy for me, and it's still not compared to other bands. But I'm a long, drawn out, couple syllables at a time. I don't have a very fast attacking pace. It's just not my style. I probably couldn't do it if I tried. So vocally, it's a little tougher. On that second riff of the song.
Yeah, and I think some of that's because I wrote the lyrics on that one too. It's the only one that I wrote lyrics for. So I don't know, because the pacing that I've written lyrics for in the past has always been thrash stuff, a little quicker. So for that, for me writing that, it felt like it was really minimal. Right. and then I give it to him and he's like, "Oh man, this is wordy." I tried.
Yeah, I gotta admit, man, I think singing and playing guitar at the same time is one of the hardest things ever to do. It takes a lot of finesse and a lot of just math, it feels like, to get both those things going in your head at the same time.
It's weird too, I guess. Every time we've recorded, get a mix back and my vocals are either forward or backwards where I did them. And I guess I'll do kind of stuff in between the beat, or something that throws engineers off. It's never right on the timestamp. It's not off time, but it's never always do kind of just before the riff starts or just after. I feel like it grooves better. Obviously I know time. I can count and I'm I wouldn't say I'm a musician, but I have timing, but it's just I metronome hard, bro. But I just the way I'll do vocals will kind of fall before or after, in between. So I'll get mixes back and my vocals have shifted. I'm what the fuck? How does this always happen? Apparently that's a thing of my style throws guys off when they're looking at the timestamps when they're editing. Oh, well, I must have bumped the vocals, so they'll push them back or forward and get screwed up. They'll have to edit it. I'm yeah, that's not where I did it. Are you sure? Yeah, I fucking know where I sing.
Yeah. All right, Dead Sun is the next song here.
Gus Special number 2.
Oh.
Yeah. I was listening to a fuck ton of Immolation, and Gus I know for sure, and that one shows it I think more than Sepulcher did, because that one's got a lot of there's a lot of openness. Most if you were to play the riffs, you'd see it all kind of revolves around the same more open chord, and then letting things ring out and throwing the little more accent higher notes over it to work with that in a weird way.
Also one of those songs, if just one of us is at practice playing it, it sounds fucking bizarre, night and day different on some of those riffs.
Yeah, because there's a lot of 2 guitar part on that one.
It's a weird song to jam. The whole band is not there.
Yeah, that one's definitely weirder. That one probably has my favorite guitar solo on the record on it too. That one's a lot of fun, and that was that solo was weird though, because I had a completely different thing written, and then the day before we went to record, I came up with a different idea, and I improvised a ton of it in the studio, and then I had to relearn how to play the solo afterwards because I didn't do it right.
Oh shit.
I hadn't had it really properly written, and then like so I knew parts. I had like a general idea what I did, but I had to like sit and pick it apart to actually get it right.
So, Immolation is also one of those other bands that I feel like a lot of people, I don't know how I should put this, they kind of like underestimate them a little bit, I would have to say.
Absolutely. Yeah. They've kind of had a resurgence with that new record too. Well, fuck, we played, we opened for them last year ago in April or March, and there was probably 300, 400 people there.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
And like I remember seeing them, 6, 7 years, 8 years earlier, play in front of fucking 15 people.
Whoa!
So like they're like the band in death metal that all the musicians really are super into.
Them and Gorgus.
Yeah, like Gorgus, but they don't quite have the draw power that like Deicide.
Yeah.
Almost feel like it's like in rock and roll. All the musicians are like super into like Warren Zevon, but he was never the huge name that some other rock bands were.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They still deal with like Faith No More. I mean, obviously they sold 1 million records, but people are more like I'm so inspired by Mike Patton sort of thing, as opposed to just a bunch of people buying their records because they like Faith No More.
There's a lot of bands like that. I feel like the Melvins are like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Melvins seem to have like a little bit of resurgence now too. I think. Yeah.
Which is rad for all those bands.
There's another one. What am I thinking of? Fucking. I can think of all the albums. Awaken the Guardian. What's the fucking name? Fate's Warning.
Oh yeah.
I kind of put them in that same thing too, because they were one of the earlier bands doing that prog shit, and I know like the biggest like Dream Theater. I know those dudes love Fate's Warning, and they've kind of had a resurgence in the last few years because I know they played shows out here and they had a pretty good draw.
Yeah. It's rad. Immolation's finally getting some the love they deserve. I think they might have been a lot bigger in the 90s, but like towards the end of the 90s, early 2000s, like people just kind of forgot about them, it seems like.
Yeah.
Which sucks. It's fucking Close to a World Below. Jesus Christ, that's a great record.
Yep.
They don't have anything as bad.
Yeah, like I remember the first time I heard Here and After, I was just like trying to follow them. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, even
like this is so unorthodox.
Learning that stuff's hard because, like, I mean, even when it's not that difficult on the guitar, it's just done in a way that's so different than what you're used to.
It's fucking rad though.
Yeah, he has a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah, there's some stuff he plays on Here and After that, like, no matter how many times I listen to that record, it's like, what is even going on right now? You just can't dissect it enough.
The beginning, is it Christ's Cage, the last song?
Yeah.
And it's like, as many times as I've listened to that record, I can't ever get the timing down. I'm like humming along in my head.
Oh man, yeah. Oh man, what about that Providence EP they put out? That thing was crushingly heavy.
Funny story. We were gonna call this album Providence.
Oh shit.
And Gary, our bass player, he fought us like tooth and nail on it, and like he was ready to give up. And then I was running it by one of my friends who's just like a super death metal fan nerd, and I was like, man, what do you think of this name for the record? And he's like, that's pretty cool, man. Like, I dig it. Like, I think it'll work with what you guys are doing. He's like, it's also an Immolation record. And I was like, oh, fuck, I completely forgot about that because it was a Scion deal.
Yep.
So I downloaded it for free, and I never, because they're a band that I have every physical copy, but that one I didn't. So I just spaced on it, and I was like, oh, fuck. Now I can't call the record Providence.
That was pretty funny though.
Yeah, I thought it fucking sucked.
It sucked, but it was hilarious.
I was pissed off for a week about that.
All right, so I guess the next song here is "Soiled Is the Crown." We kind of talked about this a little bit, but let's get more into it.
The opening riff, I feel like that was a big riff-wise. It's in my head was a little super Immolation-y. The drums are a little more groovy, a little more straightforward. I can't. Is that the first riff on that? I think I wrote. I feel like that was one where I had that riff for a while. where we were jamming it, and we jammed it up to the little break right there towards the beginning before that main blast part starts in the middle of the song.
We changed even the beginning. That whole song got reworked.
Yeah,
like the way that we started that one, way different. I remember going home with the way that we started the first one, like bitching it to my girlfriend, like, "Oh, this song isn't good." Yeah. And then we just didn't play it.
Well,
for a while.
I ended up hijacking that one because you were in on the first one. Oh, did you write any of this?
Did you tweak stuff? I tweaked a couple things, I think, but because there was like some of the hard, like dual guitar parts we worked out and changed a little bit. For the most, like 99% of it's you. The original way we had, I had a couple riffs in, but we scrapped them.
I was looking at that the other night, deleting videos off my phone. I was like, oh, that's what we were doing there. I'm glad we fucking changed that. So yeah, that first, I think we got that first riff down eventually, and then we had the second. That was what was really fucking pissing us off. The second half after the drum break.
We had it like a doomy thing, and then it had like some heavy riffs in there.
It just sucked.
Yeah,
it just didn't.
It had like the riffs were good on their own, but they didn't fit in there, I thought. But
then even for what I put in there, I feel like it's super straightforward. The tail on it's that first little tremolo riff. The tail on it's interesting. That was kind of what I wanted to do. You know, it's straightforward, but then two different guitar parts doing like their own things on it. But it's definitely a little more. It has its heavier, chunkier, kind of doomy parts, which is for us was kind of new.
Well, and then it's got like that section where the guitar breaks in, but and like it's a lot quicker there too.
Oh yeah, you talking for the solo?
Before the solo, those bits, because like the tremolo, where the guitar breaks, like it picks up speed there, and then the guitar riff behind the solo is like super thrashy.
Yeah, it was. It's weird. Like it ends up flowing somehow. Like I remember that was the song. Like, oh man, this is just a pain in the ass. And then like the last riff, that was one of those riffs. I mean, if you can listen to that in like left and right headphones, that's all over the place, and somehow it meets in the middle and vibes. But it was to me like another one of those later, like the last Emperor record style, where it's just two completely different guitar parts that are feeding off of each other, then they kind of meet for the tail. We do that kind of style riff a couple times, like on Providence there's a one riff that
yeah.
But yeah, it was a pain in the ass, and then we sat on it, and then all of a sudden, in a matter of like a day, I think I got it to where we wanted to. And then I think the end riff, me and Gus tweaked it a little bit so it would flow better, but yeah, it's kind of has a big immolation vibe. We've heard off of because that was the first song that got released.
Like a boring
incantation or immolation, or if Ulcerate was stoned, and I was like, man, if y'all motherfuckers trying to insult me, you're doing a bad job. I'll take that all day.
The stoned one was funny to me. I'm like, well, half of that statement is true for half of the band, and then the other part of it, none of us are that good at musicians, but we'll take it.
I don't think the Ulcerate comment was meant to insult. But the boring immolation one definitely was. But I'll take that.
Oh man,
immolation's got to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you know, it's a fun thing when like you're all sitting there crafting a song and just like you can bullshit each other like that. Anyways, like. You know, because you can't be serious all the time. As much as people want to take metal like serious, it's nice to like be able to bullshit with each other and just be like.
We very rarely take ourselves.
I think
seriously.
The only time we take ourselves seriously is like the 25 minutes we play on stage. Like other than that, it's like dick and fart jokes for the most part with us.
Yeah, it seems to be how it is with a lot of guys. It's pretty good, you know. But
should.
All right, the next song is Haze Here.
So yeah, that was the one we wrote. I think we wrote that second, because we wrote Day of Wrath first.
Actually, Providence was probably the first one that we wrote.
No, we were already playing the Day of Wrath.
We were already playing Providence.
I thought we played that at that Gorguts show.
We had Providence.
Did we? Yeah,
fuck so. I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong, but like those two were close. But like,
it was definitely
felt like
one
we
of
had Providence first.
So Hayes was. It was definitely one of the first ones. That was the one though where we wrote it. Me and Gus wrote it pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
Then sat on it for like fucking 8-9 months.
And then reworked it.
So I think we reworked it because the solo riff was almost identical, or one of the riffs was almost identical to a riff in
Catacombs too. There was one in Effigy that was real close because we reused it, and then there was a pattern in one of them that was really close to Catacombs. Like we both we got halfway through it and we're like, God damn it!
And stopped because we'd forgotten. But yeah, I don't. It's weird. So like this song, like we practiced the shit out of it, obviously for prepping for recording, and I haven't touched it since.
I have.
Like, and that was what this. November
into December, yeah.
So I haven't even fucking played it since. I think because it frustrated me more than anything. I think because to me it felt like rushed how we kind of went back on it after like 9 months and then had to tweak it real quick with like 3 weeks left before we recorded. So if I had an idea in my head of what it would kind of maybe come out as on the recording, and it didn't quite. But I've also had like 2 different people tell me it's the favorite song on the record, so
yeah,
I'm assuming we're gonna have to like relearn it and play it live. But yeah, I love how it starts. It's kind of got the weird. The drums Neil did on it were like super. It was different.
That was when we were telling him to listen to a bunch of Ulcer.
Yeah. And then it's got the super morbid angel part like right there in the middle. Of
that one that I wrote.
Yeah. And to me, it kind of doesn't lose steam, but it kind of goes off on a different. Like a different territory, but I guess like in terms of like an album, like it segues and kind of goes on a weird little break, which is kind of interesting on the ears, I guess, before it kind of gets back into the next song. It's definitely weird.
I like the very last riff on there though. That was one that I pumped out like real quick too, and like even though it's part of this section where it kind of like tapers a bit, that last riff is pretty neat.
I feel like we're talking shit about our own song. Eric's gonna be like, guys,
you're supposed to say good things.
Dude, you gotta say better things. But it's just us being hypercritical of our own stuff. I'm sure it sounds nothing like the way I think it sounds, but it got weird. It got a little more outside of the box than I'm used to.
I don't think you guys are being like terribly critical. I think you're just kind of giving me upfront answers about what you think of the music and how it was made, and that's exactly what I want. So I think you guys are fine, but you know, it's funny when another member is like, no, you gotta be nice about our stuff, pump it up. I get that too. I totally get it.
Bro.
Trust me, I've talked to people too that's all they want to do is like talk about how good it is, and I'm like, well, you know, let's pull it back there a little bit, like. Be realistic.
I don't even fucking cynical and pessimistic to be those guys.
I don't even like to talk about my band. I look at people at work. Oh, so you're in a band? Like, yeah.
Yeah. If like on my Facebook the other day, like I was at work and like, because I was trying to get days off and I was talking to my manager about it, and this guy overhears it or whatnot, and he goes off on like, oh, dude, you're in a band? Oh, dude, do you guys do this? Are you gonna do this? Like. Are you going to hand out all your shit for free? Oh, okay. Are you going to start, like, you need to, like, start a fight with another band on stage and, like, record it and send it to World Star. Like, dude, I could make you guys so much money.
He told you to send it to World Star.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, that's all the, real, like, jiu-jitsu videos, like, dudes in real fights that just put an arm bar on somebody. And so you're supposed to do band stuff on
No, dude, that's how you get, like, big.
Did you remind them that motherfucker, you work at a call center. Like, you don't know anything about bands. Not to knock anybody that works at a
He's
call
like, dude,
center.
you gotta slap your.
I work at one. I don't take offense.
Job's a job. But,
Right.
He's like, you stick your fucking sticker everywhere and hand out like demos and
I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up.
We'll get shit like, hey man, we're trying to get like this local metal fucking Wednesday at this random bar. Like, we're gonna like do a weekly thing. Can you guys like play 2 a month? Like, what? No.
we're doing this sick show that's gonna end up on Instagram with Rigs of Dad.
Yeah, that's the dream. Get on the Rigs of
Rigs of
Dad.
Dad.
No, it is weird when people who don't really like know about the ins and outs say all that stuff. Because like, I toured the band for like 5 years, and some of my coworkers found out recently too, and they found out that I do a podcast, and now I'm getting like all these random questions, and I'm like, what the fuck are you guys even talking about? Like, where are you getting this stuff from?
You made the mistake of talking to coworkers, man. It's
Right.
a bad idea.
I try not to, but this is the problem: is they give me shit for not talking to them. It's
When
like,
one person finds out, and they're like, oh, Cole's in the band. Like, oh, really? Like, what kind of band?
Bring me a free album.
Yeah, you wouldn't like it. I've heard you drive into the parking lot listening to trap music.
ugh.
Or I like Neil on that. Like, he's like, someone found out I was in a band. They're like, what are you like
Five Finger Death Punch or like a Metallica band?
And he's just like, yeah.
Oh yeah,
He's like, it's easier just to agree than to try and explain
that's
anything.
true. That's a quick way out.
It is, yeah.
Yeah,
That's exactly. You nailed it, bro.
It's not worth it at that point. All right,
It's a
well,
cool cover band.
yeah, cover band. That's a good one. All right, we got 2 tracks left here. Effigy is the next one.
Effigy. That's another song where we haven't played it.
That's another
since.
song.
Yeah. Well, I really like this song. It just, we haven't been playing it because it's long. So we have Providence
We're
that's
trying
in the
to be
set. So it's
conscientious
like,
of our
well,
set time.
which real long song are we going to play? Right now it's Providence. But this one,
That's got the cool Cannibal Corpse break, doesn't it?
yeah, it does. I can't. Yeah, the middle of it. Actually, there's a riff in there, like, it was purposely, like, make sure. Can you hear us still?
Yeah, totally.
Oh, I just got a warning. Hey, please. Fuck you, warning. Anyways, yeah, we have a riff in there that was like, yeah, we're just going to make this Cannibal Corpse as possible.
Like, we were jamming, and I hadn't really been able to vibe much off of the song, and then I just, like, took a shape that he was doing in there and did it, and he kind of stops and was like, yes, we're doing that. There you are. We're doing it. We're using that. And he's like, Garrett's gonna be mad because it sounds like Cannibal Corpse, but we're gonna fucking use it.
Yeah, the first, I don't even really kind of know what I was thinking towards the beginning, like the first couple riffs. Sorry, my computer's wigging out.
Oh, you're all good, man. I can edit out whatever nonsense.
Word. Fix. All right, so I don't even really kind of know what I was thinking in terms of like influence for that first riff. I feel like it was a lot more kind of black metal-y sounding. So we have a lot of like. So I'm doing tremolo on some of those riffs, while I'll go to the next string and I'm purposely like letting the previous string ring out over it, so there's like this real kind of dissonant, weird vibe going on.
Mhm.
And then yeah, I feel like the first part of that's pretty black metal-y. That little middle riff there before the Cannibal Corpse part kind of has the, I've been told is like super behemoth-y, which I'm not a big Behemoth guy, but I think Behemoth, when they kind of went death metal, were kind of meshing some of the same styles that I have, which it kind of sounds like that. But there's that Cannibal Corpse riff, and then yeah, that middle riff. It's probably, I think, the more black metal-y song of the album.
Yeah.
And it's got the 2-part riff at the end. That was another riff where like I feel like it didn't quite end up sounding the way I wanted it to. Like in my head, it sounded a lot bigger than it does on the record. But that's another one of those riffs where I've had people. It's pretty cool, that 2-part harmony riff at the end of the song, man. So I guess it's not as bad as I thought it would be. I don't know.
I mean, that's what matters, I guess, is, you know, also what other people think of it too.
Yeah,
In a sense, I mean, you guys got to be happy with it as well.
Let's do a poll on the Facebook. What songs do you guys want to hear?
What's the
We want to hear Effigy. What song do you guys want to hear that's not Effigy?
All right, let's get to the final track, which is Providence here.
that one? I know with the intro riff, like because I started that one with that, and then you were like, yeah, it's like real marchy.
At your house, like,
yeah,
we wrote that in like a half hour.
Yeah, and then like because the intro
It was
like
the first
super.
song we wrote.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it was one of the first ones because it started off with that like riff, and you're like, oh, dude, it's super moshy, or marchy, it's like Slayer or something. So okay.
Yeah, and then we literally laid everything down with that song like an hour. That song, like, and it's still my favorite song on the record, musically, and like I thought the lyrics came out best, at least in my humble opinion. It wasn't even a thing where we came with these riffs to the table, unless he had so he wrote that first riff on the fly and everything. I was just, hey, let's just kind of do this.
And then you did something, and I
flowed.
did something off of it, and then you do something off of that and whatnot.
I think the last riff I wanted to give it kind of some ambience and like I'm a big Neurosis guy too, so I like big long songs that just build and build.
Yeah.
Obviously, the song doesn't sound like Neurosis, but at least kind of going for that approach, just build and build, which we had that little kind of melodic riff that starts like towards the end and repeats, and then like the end, just the blasty part. But like my favorite thing I've ever done riff-wise, the very last blast section on the song where it like comes in, like the 2-part guitar, just that harmony or whatever the held notes or whatever we're doing there, like it like hit perfectly, like just kind of the build up, and then it's like fucking.
That feels like real massive too. Like when you're playing it, like especially in a live setting, like that one's like. I love ending with that one because I can just like go hard on that last bit and like really get into it because it's so fucking like it's almost overwhelming.
And it's super chordy parts and just like a wall of noise.
Yeah, I do think it is probably the strongest track to close out on for this record.
We actually wanted to do the video for it, but it turned into it's fucking 8 minutes long. We don't, or whatever it is, and we don't have actors or a storyline for a video,
it'd be real
so it's going to
long.
get a little redundant. So we opted for the other song.
Yeah, especially being a band that's like presumably on a budget, like getting to choose what songs you make videos for, or even like going into the studio, like how do you guys figure out what to do in that respect, like budget wise?
We work.
Yeah.
We have jobs.
Well, I mean, when we got X amount of money per our contract for the album, and it honestly, I don't feel like we were ever in a crunch time wise. I think we went in pretty prepared, even when I feel like we're not that prepared. We went in there and like we had plenty of time to get everything done.
We knocked everything out pretty quick.
So like with that, I feel like just we were prepared with practicing the video. So Matty Way did it, and he does other videos for Unique Leader, and he's I know his wife pretty well for I don't know 7-8 years now, and then he moved out here a few years ago, and they got married. So I've gotten to be really good friends with him. So like long before there was even an idea to do a video, which I didn't really want to do. Anyway, it's just weird to me. He was throwing ideas, stuff he had done, other stuff he was into, and that sort of thing. So, I mean, like, whatever the budget was for that, we knocked out that filming of it in like 5 or 6 hours. Like, so, I guess maybe we've been lucky. Just, we haven't ran into like a big, oh man, we only got X amount of time to do this. Like,
yeah, well, we've been lucky with that, and then connections. Like Maddie, like again, has been just such a huge help with it anyway. Because I mean, he's friends with Eric, so he had dropped us a good word anyway. And then
we'd talked to Eric. I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. I sent him something we did. I don't even remember what it was at this point. And he'd say, I dig it, but our roster's full at the moment. But just kind of send whatever you have. In the future. So he already kind of knew who we were and been following us, and then obviously we're good friends with Maddie, so that helped open that door as well.
Yeah, so that's actually like a good segue, because I do want to talk a little bit about the recording. You guys kind of mentioned you did it fairly quickly and you were pretty much prepared to go. Was there any things you changed last minute, like once you were in there recording, and how did you record it? Did you do everything live, or did you do like here's the guitars, here's the bass, here's the vocals, and do everything separate and then kind of put it all together?
The latter.
Yeah, we track by track. I think I know a lot of bands are kind of doing that now. I know like Blood Incantation, that was a big thing with them, which I love that band. But
it works
for what they're doing, obviously they could pull it off. I think if we were to go in there and try pulling like a live recording,
if we were that good at our instruments.
I don't think it would sound like an abomination.
Just a bunch of fuck-ups.
I don't know that we changed anything.
The only thing that I know we changed, there were a couple little bass things that I know Garrett did a little differently than what he'd been doing, just as word of advice as we went through it.
Yeah.
And then, like I'd mentioned before, with that one solo, I kind of improvised, but there were little changes in some of the other ones. Like in the solo in Providence, the way that I come into it, I had been doing it with like slightly different notes, and Ryan Butler, the engineer, is like, are you sure you want to come in on those notes? And I was like, do they sound like shit? He's like, I think it could be lower. So I did that, and but riff wise, I don't really think there was a single thing we changed, because we'd been fucking with them for so long anyway. We had changed it as we went already.
Yeah,
I guess that's pretty important to the death metal spirit too, man. You just kind of have to go with what you got and know what you're gonna play, and then that's that.
Well, I think if we tried to start fucking with changing things too, it would have taken us so much longer.
Yeah.
Because we didn't want to overstay our welcome and try to go over the budget and have to start shelling out extra on top of it, more than what we would have needed to. So, because I know Neil did his drums in 2 days.
Yeah, Neil was quick.
Neil was really quick. I'd knocked out, the rhythm guitars I think took me 2 days basically, and I think I used a couple hours of a third day to finish up some things, and then lead guitars I did in 2 short days.
But we do everything in 12, with 10 days to 10 days to track everything, and then we did 2 days worth for editing.
Yeah,
not bad. That's pretty good.
You did. Cole kind of did his vocals as we went.
Yeah, I always do 2 or 3 songs at a time. I'll I guess I don't know why my vocals just get torn up after a few hours. So
he drinks a lot of milk.
Yeah,
he's got strong, but
drink a lot of
strong milk.
No, that's important, man. That's one thing I always hear from guys is they kind of make their vocalist sparse out his recording so it doesn't blow out his voice or fuck it up. So 2 or 3 at a time makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that's all I got. I don't want to take up any more of your time. I guess let everybody know when and where the record comes out.
June 8th on Unique Leader Records. Got a couple shows coming up. We're doing Northwest Terror Fest in Seattle on the 1st. So we're playing with Integrity is headlining tonight. Necrot and Full of Hell, Gatecreeper, Primitive Man.
Nice.
So that's a pretty fun show. We're doing Salt Lake City the night before and Oakland the night after. And then there is touring plans for September. We're doing it East Coast and back, so we're going to do 2 weeks. The venues are still getting booked and all that, but we'll have an announcement pretty soon for that.
Looks like that should be like mid-September through the end of it or something.
Yeah, nice.
Something like not solid yet though.
Yeah, they're still just working out all the venue stuff.
I actually just moved from Olympia, Washington to the East Coast, so that's funny.
Oh, so where you at?
I'm in Tennessee now.
I think I know we're doing Atlanta.
That's
and we're
far,
doing,
right?
yeah, but that's still pretty
No,
far
that's
north.
close. That's close, actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
an hour and a half
Atlanta.
away.
We're
Yeah,
doing
then you can do
Charleston,
that.
South Carolina, I believe.
Yeah, and then up in some, I forget where in North Carolina.
Yeah.
But I don't know if those cities that they gave are like for sure even where it's
Yeah, I
at.
think nothing's changed.
I think he just put like the capitals.
Either way, I'll be keeping an eye out if you guys come out this way, and I'll definitely be at a show. So
Sweet, that'd be cool.
awesome, guys. Well, thank you for taking the time to do this. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, for
Thanks
sure.
for having us.
Be excellent to each other. And party on, dude!